Welcome to Whispers from the Vale, a podcast dedicated to exploring Britain's haunted past, through crumbling castles to fog-shrouded lanes. We uncover the ghosts, legends, and local lore that still cling to the places they once called home. In this episode, we will step inside two of Britain's most legendary theatres, where the line between performance and the paranormal blurs forever. The ghost of Sid James. Is he still laughing from beyond the veil? Sid James was a man whose laugh alone could fill a room. He had a mischievous glint in his eye, a cockney twang in his voice, and a career that helped define British comedy. But behind the bawdy humour and cheeky grin lay a final act not even the Carry On movies could script. One that has kept his spirit, quite literally, in the spotlight. And some say he never left the stage. Sid James was born Solomon Joel Cohen in Johannesburg, South Africa in 1913. He lived a dozen lives before fame found him. He was a hairdresser, diamond cutter and soldier. His path twisted through war and reinvention, before he landed in post-war Britain and became a household name. He was a natural performer, first charming audiences alongside Tony Hancock in Hancock's Half Hour, then cementing his place in British pop culture as the sly, reckless rogue in 19 Carry On movies and the sitcom Bless His House. Whether in film, radio or television, James had a presence, a kind of infectious charisma that made him impossible to ignore. But it was on the 26th of April 1976, during a live performance at the Sunderland Empire Theatre, that's when his final curtain fell. Sid was performing in a touring production of The Mating Season, and those present that night can recall something felt off. During the performance, Sid missed his cue. This is a rare thing for a seasoned professional to do. Moments later, he collapsed in front of the live audience, his final breath taken beneath the stage lights he had lived under for decades. Manager David Jackley rushed to his aid, calling for the curtain as Sid slumped forward. For a moment, many believed this to be part of the show, but the reality was stark. Sid had died of a heart attack right there on the stage. He was only 62. That moment would become one of the theatre world's most greatest tragedies. And it's what came after that has kept tongues wagging in hushed tones for decades. Sid's ghost, they say, never left the building. The dressing room where he spent his final night is now a place of dread. Theatres are naturally prone to superstition, but something about the Sunderland Empire makes seasoned performers feel uneasy. It wasn't long before the tales began to circulate. In 1989, the beloved comedian Les Dawson, also a friend to Sid, was performing in pantomime at the theatre. He was given Sid's old dressing room. According to multiple accounts, Dawson sat alone. Then he heard that unmistakable laugh. Sid's iconic filthy chuckle echoed round the room. He looked up, and he saw Sid's ghostly face in the mirror, pale and gaunt. At that exact moment, Dawson felt a sharp pain in his chest. Shaken to his core, he left the theatre, swore never to return. He never spoke publicly about the Pacifics, taking the full story with him to the grave. Sid isn't alone if the legends are believed. The Sunderland Empire is supposed to be haunted by many spirits. One, the lady in grey, or perhaps in white, has been seen drifting across stairwells and bars. Footsteps echo across the empty stage, and doors slam in the rafters known as the gods. And that is where Molly Mozzle, a stage manager who left to post some letters in 1949, was never seen again. Her disappearance remains unsolved, and her presence is often felt backstage. Even Vesta Tilly, the Edwardian music hall star, who opened the theatre more than a century ago, is said to linger in the wings. But it's Sid's story that grips people most, not just because Harry died, but because for many he never truly left. Sid was a man of laughter, of light, of life, lived fully and publicly, but in depth. His story had taken a darker turn. The Sunderland Empire remains a beacon for lovers of the arts, and for those fascinated for what lies beyond. For every actor who performs there, a strange question lingers backstage. Is Sid watching? Some say yes. But have you ever heard that unmistakable laughter echoing down an empty corridor? You might not be alone. The Ghost of William Therese, the Adelphi Theatre haunting. The Adelphi Theatre stood on London Strand for more than 2 centuries, first opening in 1806 as a sandspiral. Originally little more than a converted tavern hall, it was renamed the Adelphi in 1819 and rebuilt in 1858 into the grand structure we see today. Through the decades, it gained a reputation for lively plays, melodramas, and musicals, and more unusually, for being haunted. The ghost said to linger in the Adelphi is that of William Therese, a star of the Victorian stage. Born in 1847, Therese was a swashbuckling romantic lead, often cast in roles like Robin Hood or in Shakespearean heroes. Known to his fans as Breezy Bill, he was loved not just for his performances, but for his daring and charm. Before acting, he had sailed with the merchant navy, tried tea planting in Bengal, even attempted sheep farming in the Falklands. There was a stage that made him famous. He became especially known at the Adelphi, where he frequently starred alongside Jessie Millard, who was also by many accounts his lover. It was there in December 1897 that tragedy struck. In a jealous rage, an actor named Richard Archer Prince waited for him at the theatre's stage door in Maiden Lane. When confronting Therese, he then stabbed him with a dagger. William Therese just died minutes later in Jessie's arms. His final words were said to be, "I will come back." Soon after, strange occurrences began. Knocks heard on Jessie's old dressing room door. Footsteps echoed in empty corridors, some reporting to see the presence of a misty figure backstage, or floating lights that helped to form into a man's shape. Many believed it was Therese keeping his promise. Over a century later, in 2012, the comedian Jason Manford had an experience at the very same theatre. This experience would leave him rattled. At the time, Manford was performing in the musical Sweeney Todd, playing one of the main characters. He was using a small dressing room just above the Adelphi stage door, the exact area where Therese had died. During a break in the show, he was on a video call with one of his young daughters, saying goodnight as he did most nights. And suddenly, one of his young girls grew distracted. Her expression changed. She said, "Daddy, who is that man behind you?" Jason looked round. There was no one there. He reassured her gently and ended the call, assuming it was a child's imagination. A few nights later, the same happened again. "Daddy, he's back," she said. Jason asked what she meant. She replied, "The man. He's behind you again." Trying to stay calm, he has asked her to describe what she saw. She said he was tall. He's got a mustache. He's dark hair. He was a soldier. And he's crying. Jason felt what is described as a whoosh of goosebumps and a cold and unmistakable shiver. He mentioned the incident to a member of the theatre staff who responded in a matter-of-factly and said, "Oh, that would be William. He's quite a famous ghost around these parts." Later, Jason shared the experience on social media, writing, "So I'm sharing a dressing room with the ghost of a sad soldier or an actor who died in costume. Maybe, or probably, nothing at all. But the details match too well. The soldier, the crying, the dressing room above the door where Therese had fallen, and the daughter with no knowledge of theatre history somehow describing a man who had died more than 100 years earlier. Therese was buried with great ceremony, and a plaque still marks the site of his death outside the Adelphi Theatre. Some say his ghost still appears at the Covent Garden tube station, once home to his favourite bakery, but is at the theatre where his presence is most keenly felt over a century after his death. William may be still making his entrances." Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. And I'll say to you all, have yourselves a good night.